Hello and welcome back to my channel. Happy Sunday. I hope you all are doing good. Okay, I'm just going to go straight to today's video, and with the rise in questions and videos pertaining to teachers teaching in the UK, or for overseas teachers coming into the UK to teach and all of that, and with the opening up the QTS assessment route only, there's just been so many questions and things from my channel and other people's channel about what it's like teaching here in the UK. So I'm just going to give the pros and cons of teaching in the UK. So for those of you who don't know me, I am a qualified teacher here in the UK. I trained and qualified here in the UK, and I have been in this profession for God knows as long as I can remember. So and I have taught from year 1 to year 6. Now I haven't taught reception yet, but I did one of my placements in reception. But apart from that, I have gone across. I've done year 1 to 6. So basically, I have a lot of insight into the teaching profession. Now, straight to the pros and cons of teaching. So for those of you who are out there who would like to know a bit more about what it's like to be a teacher in the UK and all of that, and the good and not so good about it, I'm going to be telling you all of those today. I'm going to start with the positive because I'm a very positive person. So if you see my pen, just need to make my notes. I'm going to start on the positive note, okay? So I've also got my notes here just in case you see me looking down. So just I don't want to forget anything. Now, what are one of the good things of being a teacher here in the UK? Now, for overseas people, so like for instance, my home country is Nigeria. If you're looking to come into the UK to teach as a Nigerian, I would say it is increased pay. Now, teachers in Nigeria are not paid enough. They're not paid very well, depending on the sector you are and the school you are. So it varies, okay? Here in the UK, there is a minimum starting scale, depending on where you are, either in London or outside of London. There is a minimum scale, which for me, I think is a good amount of money, okay? For if you're coming from Nigeria, it is a good amount of money to start with. Now, if you're coming with a family and all of that, you have to pay rent and bills, and depending on where you live in the UK, it is a good salary and it is steady. So there isn't the case of, oh, someone is owing me salary this month, they haven't paid me. No. If your county council pays at the 30th or 27th or 31st of every month, you are sure to get your money on the 31st of every month. So your payment is steady and it is stable. Now, also, I think I have heard in America, if you are a teacher, you're not paid for 2 months of the summer holiday. So America, they have 2 months summer holiday, while in the UK we have 6 weeks. Now, I might be wrong. Please correct me if I am wrong. Those of you watching this video, leave a comment below if I am wrong. But I once heard that in the US, you are not paid for those 2 months of summer holiday. So this is probably going to be July and August. You're not paid, so you need to go look for some sort of paid job to cover up for those 2 months. But no, but here in the UK, your salary is divided equally across 12 months. So even if it's the summer holiday for 6 weeks, you get your pay and you are good to go. So you have steady income for 12 months every single month. And as I said, it's a good starting salary. Of course, the teacher's pay scale increases with every year that you've been a teacher or in service teaching. So it increases every year. So if you are NQT, you start on the NQT salary, which is like the minimum, the base threshold you start with. And then as the year go on, as you stay further in the profession, your salary increases every year. So that is one point. Now, the second point is, why do you go into teaching? If you are someone who likes to impact lives, who likes to see a change, who likes to see a difference in people's life, just to make sure that they're doing well and that people are developing the way they should, then yes, as teaching as a profession, you get that, okay? So you are impacting and you are changing lives. So it's a feeling. If truly you went into it for that purpose, it is a feeling of fulfillment that you get when you see children who are excelling and they've been under your care. Now, I usually give this example to people. I had a boy in my year one class who took quite a lot of time to get to read. It took a long time. And the day he was able to read, I literally cried. I cried tears of joy that day. My TA wasn't even looking at me. I was crying because I felt, oh my God, finally he can do it. After so much being impacted, interventions, all of that being put in, and he just wasn't getting it. But boom, towards the fifth month, the fifth term, he just got it. And the day that I noticed that he did it, tears of joy streamed down my face. So if you're that kind of person who love impacting lives and changing people's lives and seeing people develop and grow, then you get that as part of the teaching here in the UK, because you, of course, depending on the year you are, if you are year one or reception children, when children come to you with literally a minimal educational level, and then you begin to do that, then you would get to see that happen while you were here. Now, also, the learning environment, okay? So the learning environment that gives you is you are in the midst of people who are quite knowledgeable, I suppose. And that gives, if you're a two-form entry, so some schools are two-form entries and not some are one-form. So it means there are two classes or there's just one class, depending on the school you are. So if it's a two-form entry, you've got other people to bounce ideas from and all of that, and you get to learn from them. And it's not an environment where people are like putting people down. No, it's usually a good environment for you to grow as a person and develop. And that brings me to my next point, that there is continuous develop CPD going on, so professional development going on. So there is always a lot of training. They are constantly training you. So by the time you leave as a teacher, if that's what you want to do, you've got quite a sound knowledge and sound understanding of concepts and all that you need to know as a teacher, because here in the UK, they don't joke with that. It's constant training, constant training. If you see any training as a teacher that you think will benefit you, speak to your head teacher. If she buys the idea, she might send you for the training, or she might send others for the training. So they don't joke with that. There is constant CPD going on, constant. In fact, you will get tired. You'll be like, oh, another training. But all of this makes you a well-rounded teacher. So you have that opportunity to be an in-depth teacher. And most of this training, they are paid for by the school or by the county council. So it's not something that you pay from your pocket. There are some that you might want to do out of your own spare time and your own free will. Then you can pay for those. But if the training is coming from your school, the school usually pays for the training. So you find that by the time you leave, you've gathered quite a lot of knowledge and a lot of useful skills to help you develop along in your career. Now, with also the QTS, you can work anywhere, okay? I don't know about America, I don't know about Canada, but you can work anywhere in the UK. And of course, outside the world, I've seen people who've traveled, teachers with the QTS, they've traveled to work in places like Dubai, wherever outside the country. So once you've got that QTS, you can work anywhere. And I suppose it might be the same for America. I haven't checked, don't quote me on that, but I think it might be the same thing as well with the QTS from here. Once you qualify here, you get the QTS from here, then you can work anywhere in the world. And then you have of course, the opportunity to get into managerial positions if you want. If your aim is to climb up the ladder, it also offers you that opportunity, okay? So you can develop yourselves, apply for jobs when you see them. If you want to become a deputy head, if you want to become a head teacher, there is room for you to advance in your career. Now, if you don't want to, no one is going to force you. If you don't want to, if you want to remain a teacher for as long as it is, happily you can stay there. No one is going to force you to try and progress in ranks, but the opportunity is there if you want to progress. So those are the pros for me. Now I'm going to go to the cons, okay, the not so good things about teaching. And for me, the number one thing here for me, I find in the job is the longer hours you tend to work. Now, my mom, when I first became a teacher here, and my mom will call at 2 o'clock and she'll be like, oh, you're still in school? You should have finished by now and be home. I'm like, no, school starts here for the children at 8:40. The doors open at 8:40. And then at 3 or 3:15, the doors shut. That's when they go home. But as a teacher, you tend to be there for 7:30 because you've got things to do, things to set up, print and all of that ready for the children. And then when they go home, you're busy marking. Either you're marking or you're setting up for the next day and all of that. So it is a lot of long hours spent on the job and in the job. And that is if I'm taking out the ones you do at home. Now, there's quite a lot of planning that you tend to do at home. And this is where some teachers are fighting for a work-life balance, which is another point I'm going to go to, because you spend quite a lot of time at home. Either you're marking, either you take your things home to mark, or you're planning. Okay, so though you have planning times in school, which is another positive thing, they give you a planning time. So each teacher has in a week maybe an hour or two of planning time that you can have outside of your classroom to do your planning. So some people, maybe the whole afternoon, they are out of class. So the whole afternoon will be, maybe if lunch finishes at 1 o'clock, then you have 1 o'clock to 3:15 to 3 o'clock, because then 3:15, some people go back, 3 o'clock, some people go back to their classroom to try and get the children out the door. But you have the whole afternoon to plan. Now, in the UK here, you get to teach all of the subjects as a primary school teacher. So you don't specialize in one thing. You teach maths, English, science, history, everything you teach. Now, you can imagine if I need to do a lesson plan for the week, and I have to plan for all of those lessons. 3 hours is not enough, because you have to plan for the resources, you have to plan for the lesson, you have to do the PowerPoint slide, you have to do all of these things, and 3 hours is not enough time for you to finish for all subjects you're going to teach for that week. So most times you find that teachers come back home and they're still working. Now, for me, I have young children who are growing. So when I come back home, most times I don't do anything. I just tend to interact with my children. And then when they go to bed, then they were going to bed at 8 o'clock. When they go to bed at 8 o'clock, then that's when I get my laptop and I start doing my planning. And I find that I am awake sometimes 11 p.m., sometimes 1 a.m. I go to bed, and then the next morning I'm up. 5 o'clock I am up to get to meet school at 7:30. So it is a lot of hours spent at home and in school in order for you to be able to get the best of your children and of your planning. So the teachers are really complaining about is that the work-life balance is not there. It is not there at all, especially if you have young children. If you've got children who are grown up and you've got all of the time in the world to yourself, then it's the perfect job for you. But if you haven't, then a lot of management skills come into play. How can I manage my family, my children, my responsibilities as a mom, as a wife, and a job where I have 30 children who are under my care, which I have to look after and ensure that they are meeting all of their milestones under my care. So it's quite a lot. Now, it can be challenging as well. It depends on where you are, the school you are, maybe not. It might not depend, because children are just changing these days with the rise of technology and everything. You find that attention lifespan is reduced and behavior is also reduced. So you tend to find that there's quite a lot, there's a lot of behavior management going on in class. And if you are not very good at behavior management, you are definitely going to struggle. You are going to struggle. So if you know that you are not good at behavior management, then maybe think twice, because they will push you. I tell you, the children will push you. So it's up to you how you react. And of course, you don't want to react the other way. So you have to make sure that you are very good at behavior management in order to help you survive in the job. And it can be draining, to be honest. It can be really, really draining. But it is something that we just have to cope with. And as I said, it can be emotional. At another point, it can be emotionally draining. Sometimes I come back home and I'm very tired because it's just constant. So you need to prepare yourself for that, and ensure that you are also doing other things to look after yourself, because it's a job where you can easily lose yourself if you're not careful. You have more time planning, less time given to yourself, and if you're not careful and you have all of these things to deal with, you're going to be emotionally drained. You are going to be emotionally drained. So you have to be really, really careful and guard your heart with all diligence. That's for the Christians. Or better still, if you are good at meditating, if you like going to the gym, do something to help your mental state, because it is very important while you are at this job. Now, again, I talked about the working hours. Now, a lot of teachers are complaining and striking because of this, because they feel that, well, we feel that teachers put in a lot of time into the job than we are paid for. So we are basically paid for that 6 hours that we are in school every single day. But a lot of us work outside of that 6 hours. So the 6 hours is when the children come in until when they leave. That is our 6 hours that we are being paid for every single day. But we come to work 7 o'clock, 7:30, and sometimes I have left school 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, sometimes 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. I have left school. Now, all of those, I don't get paid for those. Now, you might claim extra hours if you want to. You can claim that, but it is not part of your pay. So teachers are striking and saying, no, we need a better pay because we spend quite a lot of time in this job at home and outside of home in order to be able to do this job. So it is good pay, but in comparison to the hours spent, then it doesn't balance up, okay? So that's another thing. Now, of course, there's a lot of hours spent in marking, planning, preparation. So it's not like when you're working, the children you have a blackboard. No, you have to make PowerPoint slides. You have to mark 30 children's work every single day, maths, English, whatever you teach that day, you have to mark it. And it's not just the case of, oh, tick, fantastic. No, you have to leave proper comments for the children, something that they can use to help them with their correction the next day or the next lesson. So it's very time consuming. Now, of course, this also means that you have less social time. If you're someone who is very social, sorry to bust your bubble, teaching here doesn't give you that time. Okay, it doesn't give you that time. So you literally have to be a good planner of your time. You literally have to learn how to plan your time if you want to keep up with your social life, because either you are tired, you are stressed out. Social things is the last thing you want to do, but it's necessary that you do keep that going for your mental state. So if you're not careful, you don't have any social life. But as I said, you have to plan for it and work towards it so that you can have some sort of balance with your work and life. Again, as a mom, I just have some days I just don't do the planning so I can spend time with my children. And some days, if I need to watch a movie with them, we watch the movie, and after the movie, I come and do the plan. And then that means I'm awake till maybe 1 a.m., 2 a.m. before I go to bed. Well, I have to, because then I have to balance my life and my children and my family in order to make things work. So it can be very difficult to juggle. That's my next point. It can be very difficult to juggle these things because you're thinking, okay, my children got this club, they've got swimming, they've got basketball, they've got football, they've got piano. How do I balance all of that with the job? So it's something that you need to really, really plan out yourself and how you do it, because Monday to Friday you were there. I can't remember a time when I've left school at 3:15. I can't remember. Maybe if it's on the days where I've just said, okay, I'm not going to mark today, I'll mark tomorrow. But the problem with that is the more you keep the market, you leave the market, it piles up, the difficult is going to be for you to mark it. So it's better if you mark it on the day and that's it, and you're done with it, and then you can get on with the next thing. So which then leads to the next question. The next thing, if you have young children, again, lots of people who are teaching, when they start having families, they tend to leave the profession for a bit. So either they go do something else, they become a childminder or something, until when their children are grown, when they've spent quality time with their family and children, and then they can then go back to the teaching profession. So it's something you need to consider. If you've got young children who are still very tender, it's going to be a very difficult thing to juggle. Now, when my little one was just about, I went back to work when she was 9 months old, and she was in the child daycare. Now, I was the first to be there. I'm waiting for them to open the doors. They open at 7:30. I'm waiting for them to open the doors. Luckily, her daycare was just next to my school. I'm waiting for them to open the door, and as soon as they open the door, I leave her there and I go to work. And sometimes they close at 7, and sometimes I'm the last to pick her up. Most times I pick her up at 6 p.m. So you find out that from Monday to Friday, my little baby was spending all of that hours in the daycare. And then when we come back Saturday, Sunday, there are days that I'm busy planning, cooking, cleaning, and getting ready for work. And I wasn't just bonding with her. I wasn't spending a lot of time with her. And that was one of the decisions why I decided to have a bit of a teaching break. So I had a career break for a bit and went and did something else that offers me the time to be able to spend with my children. At that point as well, my oldest was going to secondary school, so I needed to spend a bit more time with my family and my children because it was just like a rat race. In, out, weekend, busy, cooking, cleaning, washing, tidying up the house, getting ready for the next day. It was barely less time spent with my family. So I needed to have that break at that point in time, especially to bond with my baby at that time, because it was just difficult. It was so difficult. And sometimes when I pick her up, she's looking at me like, who are you? Because she tends to spend more time with the childminders, with the daycare, than with me. So it was a decision I had to make. So you find out that if you've got young children, you need to really, really think carefully if it is a job for you at that time. And if you do, then maybe you can work on a part-time basis. Maybe you can do 2 days and 3 days. Now, I went part-time at some point as well, and I tell you, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because the days that you are not working, you are spending those days planning at home. And sadly, you're not being paid for those days because you don't work on those days. But then I'm using those days to be doing my planning when I shouldn't. So for me, I felt, no, this is not working. I'm planning on the days I'm not working, and I'm working when I'm working, but I'm not being paid. So therefore, I stopped as well from part-time, and then I just fully took a career break and came back to it when she went into primary school. So it is quite a lot of things to think about. This is my own perspective. Other people might have different opinions. Other teachers might have different opinion. But I can't speak for everyone. But this is my own perspective, if you ask me. But as I said, it is a rewarding job. It is a wonderful job. I don't think I can do anything else. Well, I've tried everything else, but I always gravitate back to it because it's part of me. It is something that I love doing. So if it's not a job that you love doing, if you're just doing it for the sake of the pay and all of that, I want to travel to the UK, sorry to tell you, you are going to be frustrated. You are really going to be frustrated. So make sure it is something that you really want to do. And with all of the facts that I've given, you can then decide for yourself and think. Now, as I said, it is good pay. You are impacting and changing lives. It's a good learning environment. You've got people who are of like mind, thinking the same, working towards the same goal. And it's not a case, from my experience, it's not a case for, I've been so lucky where I have worked. I have been so lucky in all of the schools I've worked. I've worked with the best people. So it's a situation whereby people are looking out for you. And if they see anything good, they'll let you know, okay, I think this will help for your lesson. I think this will help. And if you see as well, so you have people who are bouncing off ideas and working well together. As I said, I've been the best schools, best head teachers I've had, and it's been amazing. But it depends on the school again. And then you have all the CPD, the continuous professional development. So many of them, too many of them, I think. So many of them, but they are all for your own good because they make you a well-rounded teacher. And then again, you can work anywhere with the QTS. And then more pay, depending on what part of the country, world you're coming from. It is a good starting salary for anyone who would like to go into it. It's a good starting salary. But as I said, also you have to balance it if you've got children. And if you're coming as a single mom, you've got children and all of that, you have to pay rent, then the starting salary might not be the best. But as I said, with every year, there is opportunity to earn a little bit more. And there's opportunity for you to go into other things if you want, to develop into your career, maybe a head or Senko lead or something if you want. And those positions also come with extra pay as well. So here, these are the things. If I think of any other thing, I'll bring that. Oh, one more thing I think I talked about is resources. So you have schools who tend to have quite a lot of resources, okay? So these are things that are already there. The positives, they're there for you. So you don't have to go source, except you want something outside of what the school has and you want to purchase that. You purchase it and then give your receipt to the school. They will refund you. But they are rich in resources. Now, coming from Africa, coming from Nigeria, I must say that the schools are rich in resources. And all of this are to help give your lesson the twist and the push and the excitement that it needs for you to be able to teach the children that you have. So this is all I have for today. If you've got any questions, if you've got any comments, anything that you want me to talk a bit more about, leave me a comment in the comment section below. Also, you can chat me up on Instagram. My Instagram is dwelling_oak. Okay, so you can chat me up at Instagram, and I'm happy to answer some of your questions and reply to any comments that I can. Okay, have a wonderful week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.